Hey, it's Steph. Thanks for watching today's video. I'm going to be doing an update for the Pan Those Eyeshadows project Pan. This project was created by Alexi, but everyone that's participating alters it so it works best for them. For me, I randomly select 5 shades out of my collection and also a focus palette. And for each shade, I want to hit pan or use 20 times, whichever comes first. I like to be working on a palette that's appropriate for the season that I'm in. So currently we're in spring. So I'm working on a focus palette that I felt like I could pan in the spring. Speaking of my focus palette, it was the BH Cosmetics Bambi palette. And I think my goal was to use each shade 10 times. So this is what the palette looked like when I rolled it in. It was brand new, untouched. I had just purchased this maybe a month before our last update, and I had yet to use it. This is what it's looking like today. I feel like there's no dips, but I will quickly run through the numbers. I used this shade 8 times. Second shade I used 10 times. So I did meet my goal on this. I only use this twice because it's very similar to another shade in this project. I used this shade 8 times. Again, I only use this twice because it's also similar to another shade in this project. And I use this 3 times. So I did hit my goal on this middle light blue shade. So this palette will be staying in for another month. Hopefully I can focus on it a little more and roll it out before the summertime. The first shade that I randomly selected is from my ColourPop Making Mauves palette. This is what it looked like last update after 19 uses. This is the shade that is similar to that really pale purple color in that Bambi palette. I was able to use this 19 more times, so I have a total of 37 uses on this shade, and I'm happy to report that I did hit pan. So now that this shade is rolling out, I can focus on that other shade in the Bambi palette. And then the next shade comes from my Half Caked Snack Pack palette, and this is the shade that's very similar to the white shade in the Bambi palette. So this is what it looked like last update when I rolled it in, and it was untouched. I'm pretty sure I had never used it before, maybe once or twice. I'm really happy that I was able to get 20 uses on this shadow this month. And here it is in the center. You can barely tell that I touched it. These are pretty hard pressed, so I don't think that, oh, I just realized that I hit my 20 use goal. I was like thinking this whole time, it's gonna take me forever to hit pan, but I can roll this out. And I'm going to, because I'm nowhere near pan. I just put this all over my lid, all the way up to my eyebrow. It was a lot of layering this month because I'm also panning another crease shade in a different project. So yes, I'm really happy that I can roll this out. I didn't even realize it, so. The next shade is from my Hip.C Note palette, and it was the very first shade called Rain. This is what it looked like last month when I rolled it in. I'm not super impressed with this palette so far, but this shade I frequently used in my inner corner when I was doing more blue looks, or I would top it on the center of my lid. This is what it's looking like after 8 uses. I'm using a very small brush, so it's pinpointing an area, and I'm really curious how deep these pans are. So we'll see how many uses we get next month. I'm going to try to use it 10 times. No, I'm going to try to get my 20 use goal next time, so that's only 12 more uses. I know I can do it. Just a side note, I really enjoyed this gold color up here, but honestly, the rest of the palette is just not impressive to me. So once I hit that goal, I might declutter this. I don't know. I'm still deciding. The next shade comes from my Sigma Cinderella eyeshadow palette. This is what it looked like after 5 uses last month, and I did get an additional 6 uses, so I have a total of 11 uses. This is what it is looking like today. And this is a really fun shadow. It's very bright. I think this is it's still out of my comfort zone when I wear it. I've worn it all over my lid. I've worn it on my lower lash line. I wore it as an upper lash line, kind of a wing. So I'm really playing with this shade. And if you have any more ideas on how I can get some use out of this, those ideas are welcome, and please leave them down below in the comments. And the last shade that I randomly selected is from my Tori Bell Flat Earth palette. This is what it was looking like last month after 7 uses. I did use this a little more this month. I got 15 additional uses, so I have a total of 22 uses on this, and this is what it's looking like. It's barely budged. I think there's a small dip forming, but this again is a very firmly pressed shadow, and I'm nowhere close to hitting pan, so I will be rolling this out as well. So let me pull the Pretty Random app up. I have 252 eligible eyeshadows in my spreadsheet. That does include some eyeshadows that are in other projects, but if I roll those, I'll just roll them again. The first shade that I rolled was number 12, and that comes from my Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette, and this is actually a shade that was in the project last year, and it's the shade Cyborg. I did not manage to hit pan on it, so I'm actually really excited to be rolling it in. Ooh, and number 18 is from my ColourPop California Love palette, and it was the shade Diego. It's the first shade in the palette, which I can't really picture right now, so we'll see what that looks like. And then the last number was 222, or 221. 221 is from my Tori Bell Space Out palette, which was a focus palette a couple months ago, I think. And it's like not springy at all. Like, I just don't want to pan that palette, so I'm gonna re-roll. 61. Okay, that's from my ColourPop That's Taupe palette, which was a focus palette earlier this year. It's the shade Snake Eyes, which I don't know what that color is, but let me just go grab these shades and we'll see how I feel about them after. Okay, I have the palettes. I have not looked at them yet, so I kind of have an idea of what Cyborg looks like from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette, but let's look at it together. Yes, okay. There's a pretty big dip in it, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to hit pan on it. I'm definitely going to focus on finishing up this fresh shade in the top left corner as well. So that'll be really exciting. It'll probably be 20 uses for this though to hit pan, but I am looking forward to this looking a little more used. Next was my ColourPop California Love palette, and the first shade is Diego. Let's look. Oh, okay. I can do this, I think. It's a beautiful bronzy shade. Oh, that's going to be really pretty. I don't think I'm going to be able to hit pan before the 20 uses, but we'll see how big of a dent I get, and if it's anywhere close, I might just keep it in. But I'm excited to have this palette out. It's obviously, it just calls for warmer weather, and that's where we're headed. So I'm excited. And then the last roll was for my That's Taupe palette, and it was the shade Snake Eyes. Okay, it's this center shade here. It's kind of got a mauve-y shift to it. All shimmers. Oh my gosh. I'm a little worried that these two are too similar. I feel like I would use them for the same purposes, unfortunately. So I think I am going to re-roll and not include the That's Taupe palette. 10. That's from my Sultry palette. Right here. I have used this, but it just like hasn't budged. Is it going to be too similar to the Diego shade? I guess we'll find out. Okay, I feel like they are different enough, so I am going to roll that in. Just disregard this shade, and that's my color story. Very neutral with some pops of blue. So that's it for my update. If you enjoyed, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to my channel and you enjoy panning and makeup content, please subscribe so I see you in the next video.